Welcome to the 1% Better Recruitment Podcast. I'm your host, Charles Kiriakou, and this is the podcast where we aim to help recruiters, founders, managers, business owners get 1% better after every single episode. Every episode is unfiltered, unedited, uncensored, where we just have a free-flowing back and forth conversation with the aim to add tactics, tools, techniques, anecdotes, war stories, all in the hopes for you guys to get 1% better after every episode. It would mean the world to me if you could like, comment, subscribe, follow the podcast on all the channels that you view this on. We have a newsletter as well on LinkedIn if you could go and follow and subscribe onto that as well so you don't miss any episode. And if you find this or any of the other episodes enjoyable, please share them with your friends, your colleagues, and anyone that you think could benefit from it. Enough from me, let's get into today's episode. Hello everybody and welcome to the 1% Better Recruitment Podcast with your host Charles Kiriakou. Today I'm joined by Stuart Biggs and really looking forward to getting into this one. Stuart, how are we today, my friend?
Yes, very good. Friday, sun's out over here in Leicestershire. I'm just sitting in my office and looking forward to wrapping the week up and having a nice weekend. Yeah.
Nice. Happy days. Well, we've got some good topics to go through today, Stuart. And obviously I'm going to pass over to you in a second to do your intro. But for people listening to this right now, we are going to talk about Stuart's quite interesting journey in recruitment. We've got some different anecdotes. Before we clicked record, I just wanted to double check with Stuart because I got into recruitment in 2014. You got into recruitment in 2004. One of the topics we're going to talk about is what the recruitment industry will look like in 5 to 10 years with like podcasting, AI, remote working, and also what it looked like when we both got into recruitment. And the funny thing that we just mentioned just before clicking record is sometimes I go into offices and say, yeah, I used to fax compliance documents to hospitals, and people are like, what's a fax machine? And I'm like, I'm not even that old. I'm only 31. So we'll talk about that. And I think there's going to be this. I think this is going to be quite a fun one, really. It's going to be quite relaxed, quite conversational, some interesting, fun stories, all with the goal to get 1%, at least 1% better in recruitment. But as I always do, Stuart, it'd be good for you to just give us a super brief intro to you, what you're doing at Be Recruitment, etc.
Great, thanks, Charles. Thanks for having me on, by the way. Really been looking forward to this for a little while, and I'm equally as looking forward to it. And I think it will be fun. Yeah. So basically, where do I start? So, Be Recruitment then. So approaching 7 years old, inaugurated June 2018. Put our first driver out on the road, July 2018. Ups, downs. Oh, God, so many stories along the way. But we've grown our business and our headcount now internally to there's 14 of us, real nice spread of experience and talent, young, older ones like me. We're up to around 7 million turnover, working with sort of 50 to 60 clients a year, around 40, 50 clients a week. Got some great clients. Got a fun business, challenging, incredibly challenging, been through a lot, but I suppose that's us in about 30 seconds, really. Driving an industrial, do some perms as well.
Yeah.
Try and have a bit of fun with it and make a bit of a living, you know?
Yeah, nice. That's my motto for things, right? Like if you're not having fun with what you're doing, I think you're doing the wrong thing personally. And I always say that when I go into the training room, like this is a safe space for you to have to make mistakes and stuff. But like, if you're not having fun, what's the point in going into training? I used to train you can see I've got my boxing gloves behind me. Do you think I go into the gym and just dread it? No, like I go there to have fun and then obviously punch each other in the face and whatnot. But you got to have fun. Otherwise, what's the point? I think life is way too short. Well, as you said, like one of the first things is your sort of journey in recruitment. And I'll be honest, Stuart, you were quite ambiguous with how you said this. You're like, I've got quite an interesting journey. I was like, okay. And I kind of purposely just was like, let's just get into this on the podcast so I can almost hear it for the first time. But tell us a little bit about your journey in recruitment then.
Do you know what? It's probably not that different to somebody else who's been on in the recruitment industry for 20 years. It's probably not that different. The difference is 2004, 2014, using your reference point, and 2024, 2025. You know, those 10-year chunks, there's a lot changed in those 10-year chunks in between. You mentioned about faxing stuff over. You know, that's only 10 years ago. That's only 10, 11 years ago. So rewind another 10 years on that, And God, we had some great times, some real good fun. But really, it's probably my journey. I think it's quite a good fun one. I think I have got some great anecdotes, and I'll touch upon a few, obviously. But in terms of actually comparison, like for like, eggs for eggs, it's probably not too different from somebody else that I went into the industry at the same time. I think because of B recruitment, my opportunity, and where I am in my life now, and what we've sort of built here. I suppose I get the opportunity to do things like this a little bit more, whereas some of my colleagues who are still in the industry now, 20 years in, they're probably still doing a senior management job at a big corporate company, and they're sort of like maybe not so interested in this sort of stuff. This sort of stuff really interests me. Me and you have a chat off camera about all sorts of different things, but they're maybe not as comfortable in front of the camera as me, and different things like that. So I wouldn't say my stories are a lot different to other people who've had 20, 30 years in the industry. I think I'm just prepared to probably come on and have a bit of a laugh about them, really. So God, where do I start? So Best Connection, 2004, big corporate company, probably at the time about 45, 50 branches. We were talking off air, I worked less than a mile away from the office. In fact, it was probably half a mile, and I still managed to be late every single day. And I couldn't even imagine being that person now. I'm so fret now about time and commitment and, making sure I'm on time. But as a young, wet behind the ears 22-year-old, I used to sort of wake up at 7:30, crawl out of bed, and scramble my way into the office for 8 o'clock, 8:02, 8:04 some days. Get told off immediately, be on the back foot, not have planned anything, and just get into the day sort of thing. Spent 4 years there, spent 4 years in the Tamworth branch, little market town, worked with some great recruiters, and probably some of the best days of my life. In compartmentalise it into different things. We got up to all sorts of capers back then. Popped around a little bit with Best Connection, worked at various different branches. I had a little short break and went and worked for somebody else, but came back reasonably quickly after a couple of years, and probably ended up lasting sort of around 12 years at Best Connection. Birmingham branch, spent 5 or 6 years in Leicester, which I've actually now moved to from living in Tamworth, with my commitments to my clients and the friends and the network that I've built up over here. But all told, had 12 years there. They were very much, Charles, boards and cards, rotary desk, paper. If you had a fire in the office, your business was absolutely done. It was knackered. But a brilliant, brilliant company. I will always be so in awe of where they've helped me get to in my life. I probably, towards the end of my career with them, they were quite regimented and they wanted people to do things in a certain way. That was what they needed. Companies do. You fit in with their values, characteristics, and what they need. And towards the end, I got a little bit experimental, and I sort of I was performing, really performing, but just getting sort of a little bit frustrated, really. Knew that I had a bit more to offer in the way that I had it to offer versus the way they wanted me to fit into. Some people, a regimented way of working works for some people, doesn't it? My life and my career, I wouldn't go out there and say I'm the world's, the next Stephen Bartlett or whatnot, but I've always sort of thought, I can do it my own way a little bit better. And I'm not saying I'm doing that by any stretch, but I just wanted to try it in my own way with a little bit of swaz and a little bit of a different spin on it. And, so far it's treated me pretty well.
Yeah. So was there like a specific thing that made you say, besides the fact that it was like, I feel like I might be able to do it better or whatever, was there like a trigger for you to go, right, sod it, I'm going to go and do my own thing? Because obviously on the podcast and with what I do, I'm speaking to business owners all the time, every single week. And there's like a common trait. And I think that's just a slight bit of insanity. to want to go out and do it by yourself. Like all my friends think I'm absolutely mental for doing what I do. But was there like a trigger for you that was like, right, sod it, I'm going to go out and do my own thing?
I would say probably around when you got into the industry, actually, around 2014. So I left, I think it was 2015, 2016. I never quite remember without actually looking at my CV. I think it was end of 2015. My grandfather had just passed away a few months before, but that was completely unrelated. I would probably say sort of 2014, 15, probably for a 12 to 18 month period. I was really performing, really doing well. Probably one of the strongest salespeople in the business at the level that I was operating at. Really, really doing well. I had a lot of respect. The senior managers loved me. I made them a lot of money. I got on well with people. I was having a great time, but there was something that started to just sort of like course through my veins, if you like, that just said, I'm not, it wasn't financial. It was just something that was, I thought, I can do my own thing here. Somewhere along the line, I can do my own thing. Now, bear in mind, I started to have that feeling, Charles, let's say 2014. We didn't start Better Recruitment until 2018. So that journey it wasn't just like, bang, overnight, I'm going to go and do this next week. There was a learning curve between them, almost the realization of going, I think I can do this. It wasn't a eureka moment, a moment where I just thought, bang, I'm going to start my own agency. It wasn't that. It got there over a little bit of time. And then once I sort of realised, this is definitely something that's going to be something that I want to do, I had to go out there then. I'd learned how to become a recruiter. I could make a sales call. I could fill a vacancy. I could navigate my way around administration and, albeit not great, decent salespeople, I don't think will always admit that they're not great administrators. But I could navigate my way through a recruitment day, always half decent at planning and, sort of being reasonably efficient with my time. I'd done that. So the recruitment part of it was the bit where I'd already learnt that. So that was sandbagged. It was in the back of my brain. It didn't take me 4 years, but I had to go out there and actively, in my own time, whilst still earning a living in that 4-year window, learn how to run a business. How do you send invoices out? Where do you get your invoice financing sorted? How do I get a business bank account? Who do I talk to in regard to being an accountant? I don't know nothing about being self-employed. How do you factor? How do you offer credit to your clients? How do you recruit people into a business? What's employment law? How do I protect my own staff? Where am I going to write terms of engagements for temporary workers or terms of business for my clients? I had to go and learn all that. And unfortunately, I met some really, really great people along the way, along my journey, that helped me with some of that, did some of it for me.
Yeah.
And all that sort of in situ now, obviously being 7 years old as a business. But for those 4 years, it wasn't just like, bang, I'm going to start it tomorrow. I had to go and continue to earn a living and learn how to be a business person as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. And in the 7 years that you've been running your business, what's like the craziest thing that's happened? Because you mentioned there's been some like funny anecdotes or some war stories. Like, what's been the craziest thing that's happened?
Well, I think I'll give you a couple of reference points, really. Not necessarily here, really. I'm sure I'll think of a couple as we go through. But look, recruitment 20 years ago was a different animal. It was non-PC. It was, all right, love, make us a cup of coffee type thing. You're not going to get away with any of that these days. It was, there was all sorts of stuff going on that I'm not even going to say on here if I'm being completely honest. But if I try and keep it the right side of the line for you, God, we used to super glue people's phones. We used to super glue this and just leave it loose enough off the hook so that when you put it, you would put it to your ear. Yeah, exactly. So it wasn't super glued so it couldn't be released from the hook. It was super glued in a way that we managed to leave enough leverage to pick it up and put it. And you'd literally, we did the same with Marmite. We did it with Nutella, peanut butter. We tried all sorts of different things. I'm not married anymore, but one of the most distressing in hindsight, funniest things I could possibly tell you, and like I'm chuckling as I'm saying this, was I was working for the Best Connection in our Birmingham branch back in 2012. Got married in 2011. You know, your colleagues are really happy for you and all that sort of stuff. Took ages to get our wedding album. I know you got married reasonably recently, didn't you? So you'll have been through the same emotions. You get your wedding album, and I know it's probably all digital these days, but people probably still get manual ones. And got this massive wedding album, like, you know, huge thing. So, you know, we've done the whole taking it around the families. Wow, what a great day, reminiscing, all that sort of stuff. Taking it into work, it's literally the size of a wedding cake. Okay, it's huge. It's like an A3, probably that thick. Cost a fortune, as you can imagine. The wife's saying to me at the time, do not, whatever happens, do not damage, you know, if that comes back with the slightest scuff on it, I am going to go crazy.
Oh, God.
So I'm thinking, okay, don't worry. What's she worrying about? What can possibly happen? I'm going to take it in, show people, and bring it home. I've taken it into work. We've sat down before work started, you know, have a look at this, that, and the other. It's like, oh, brilliant, you know, God, Stu, that's great. You both look amazing. You look so happy. I'm like, yeah, thanks, guys. Right, you know, I'll put it on the floor now, you know, off to work, you know, you get through your day, blah, blah, blah. I was sort of a senior-ish person in the office, I suppose, at this point. One of the trainees has come over to me, maybe, I don't know, 10:30. And we used to keep the coffee mugs. Your desk would be full with paper. You put your coffee mugs on the floor, right? And they'd be empty in the main. But, you know, you put your coffee, you can see where this is going, can't you? Trainees done no more than come and kicked a good half a cup of coffee over this wedding album that sat on the floor next to me. My pride and joy, completely my own fault. But like, I'm like, what am I going to do? My wife is going to absolutely kill me. So, you know, that was like stressful, horrible situation. But within 24 hours, we're in the office the next day laughing about it. Managed to get some, you know, white spirit on it or whatever to clean it up. And I was like, oh my God. Another quick one, right, before we move on. It's just literally coming to my mind. There was a guy, I forget his name now, middle-aged guy, grey hair. You get people that come into the industry for a very short period of time and it doesn't work out for whatever reason. I've got people that I still know that are in the industry now 20 years. You got people that come in for 5 or 6 years. People get on and off the bus of recruitment, you know, based upon their own situation and whether it works out or not. There was a guy, I forget his name, but it's just popped into my brain. I was in our Birmingham branch again one day, get some real colourful characters. We were in Tyseley, which is just outside the city centre, real urban, outside the city centre, you know, not a particularly nice or even safe place. We had an office there, crazy. And guy came in, was sort of telling me in his first few days what he's into and this, and he likes Japanese art and some real strange thing. He did no more, and I'm not like telling you a word of a lie, than he thought that this was an appropriate thing to do, bring a 16 to 18 inch samurai sword into the office the next day. And I'm talking the sharpest knife you could possibly see. He just pulled out this sword like this. And you know the way it arcs like that? Yeah. We were all like, what the hell is he going to do here? Because he was a tattooed guy, a bit of a big guy. We didn't really know him that well. And we were all like, is he going to start swinging that around in a minute? Are we going to have a little bit of a bloodbath on our hands? And we were all like, I don't know, let's say his name was Terry. We were like, yeah, okay, Tess, you know, thanks for that. Can you go put it in your car sort of thing? Now, really, honestly, some colourful characters, some really, really colourful characters, Charles.
Mate, it's fucking hilarious. You kind of reminded me of a fun anecdote when I'd done contract recruitment for a couple of years. One of the nurses that my manager worked with, she went to Goa in India, and she come back and she had one of those like ghost chilies. Like she had like a whole thing of different chilies. I don't know what it's actually called, if it's called a ghost chili or something. It's one of the spiciest chili peppers in the world, right? And my manager was a spice freak. He used to have like those weird like black bottles of like, not Tabasco, but the stuff with like I can't remember what it's actually called, but you put one drop in your pasta and you're fucked, basically. And they got me with that a couple of times where I'd be eating pasta, go to the toilet, come back, and I'll take one bite full, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Anyway, we had this. The whole business was built on apprenticeships. So I came in as an apprentice, and there was this big dude. He's like 6'6". He was like 18 years old. Not necessarily like the most intelligent bloke in the world, but he's good looking, big guy, grafted. And we were looking at these chilies that have just come back from Goa with this nurse. And the manager was just like, "Here, mate, do you want to try a bit of this chili?" And he was like, yeah. And he was just like, "Nah, actually, don't worry, it's too spicy." And he was like, "No, I'm good with spices. I'm good." He was just like, no, it's too spicy for you. Trying to play the game to get him. So the nurse took a slither off of it, like thinner than a bit of cucumber or something. And the guy was just like, "Do you think I'm some sort of pussy?" And she was like, No, trust me, like, do not eat any more than that. So he ate the whole chili and like tried to make like a big, like, yeah. He tried to be like, "Look at me, I'm really, really hard." And then I tell you what, I'm gonna have another one. And we were like, no, that. He took a bite of another one, then he looked around the office and you could just see it's finally hit him. And he's gone, "Oh shit. And he just went into full-blown panic mode. Bear in mind, the office was like 50 to 60 people minimum. He's running around the office. We're all just sat there dying, laughing. And he's just like, I'm dying. He's gone into the kitchen. He started drinking milk, but he's starting to get like, I'm freaking out, I'm going to die type things. So he's pouring milk. We had to wear suits and ties back then as well. So he poured it all over his face, all over his suit.
Oh my God.
And this was just the standard shit that would happen in that office. We had so many dumb things. I don't know if you ever had this back in the day in the offices. What were those weird things that you would stand on, and if you lean forward, you go forward. What were those fucking things called? They caused so many accidents in the office. Hey?
Segway.
Yes, yeah. They were like little segways, but you didn't have like the handles or anything. Some idiot brought one into the office, and then the managers were like, "We're just going to buy loads of them." So we just bought loads of them. I never got on them because I was like, this is so stupid. In the space of a week, 4 people broke their arm.
Oh my days. We was messing about with one of those a couple of years ago. In fact, I think I posted it on LinkedIn for a bit of a laugh. I'll have to try and find it and send it. I might have a video on my phone or something. But we messed about with one a few years ago. But like, really, I'm not saying the industry's not fun anymore, but I think, and I'm not going to get political about being woke or this or that or the other, because to be fair, this is where society's going, and I'm not saying we need to fit in. We can have our opinions, and I'm really not going to go into mine, but it's not the same. I think when you get to sort of, I'm 43 now, you've 2004 to probably 2014, 15, I was, and I don't mind admitting this, and my bosses would say the same thing. I was the class clown. I was a bit of the naughty kid. I was the best at sales, and I used to, and almost like they were like, we need him, because I had the most flair. I was the most charismatic. I had fantastic relationships. It wasn't like we'd love to get rid of Stu. They were just trying to change me. But what I'm trying to say, I suppose, is that I was really carefree. Yeah, carefree, 20s and 30s, you're not getting kids, there's this, that, and the other. And I suppose there's probably is as much fun going on out there. I know these guys, I hear them laughing out all the time, and I'm glad, and I want that. I'm not saying that I can't relate to it, but I've got a business to run now, and I've got this to sort out afterwards, and then I've got this to sort out after that, and rates and national minimum wage, and oh God, there's just the list is endless, and there's a time where I wouldn't say the laughter has to stop. I'll probably go out for 5 minutes after we finish this podcast and just go around and check everybody. How's it going? What you're up to the weekend? Do the whole boss bit, which is great. And I think they appreciate that as well. And we're quite big on work hard, play hard. So when we're out, we go out and we have a good time.
Yeah, of course.
A few beers and a bit of food and a bit of a laugh and a dance and whatever. So we still try and hang on to all those things. But in terms of my war stories, I suppose, and fun stories and stuff, it's when you're in your 20s and all those stories that we've just recoiled there, it just feels very different when you get into your 40s, because you start taking life a bit more seriously, I suppose.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And
no, I totally know what you mean.
start wrapping themselves around you and all that. So that's not to be morbid or not fun, by the way. I think I'm still fun. I can still, I can still get down with the kids and stuff, but just not as much as I used to anymore, I suppose.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm totally with you. Like when I was in my early 20s, like, I can't, I think leading up to about 21 years old, I rarely ever got hangovers. Like I just didn't. And then as soon as I turned like 22, 23 years old, I started to get like kind of hangovers. I'm not old. I'm still a baby. I'm only 31, but I get horrific hangovers now. So like to do like what I do and sit in a classroom and train people or sit on a desk and coach someone with a hangover, it's just, I just can't do it anymore. Like back in the day in recruitment, we used to go out on a Thursday night in the city and just get absolutely pissed up, end up going to McDonald's at fucking 1:00 in the morning, stumble and get on the last train home, get back. And then we're back in the office for like 9 a.m. the next day. And then we're just all sat there with sunglasses on, doing our LinkedIn booleans, going, "Oh, last night was good, wasn't it?" I just physically can't do that anymore. And obviously, because I'm self-employed now, like what you said earlier really resonated with me about when we were both young, we were late, like 2 minutes late, 4 minutes late, or whatever. And it's kind of a bit that carefree, bit of a clown type mentality. Since I've set my business up, the only times I've ever been late was purely because a train's been cancelled or I'm sat on a train and we're stuck underground for half an hour. Like I've not got to the station late, and I've been doing my business for a year and a half. I've not been late to anything since I've set my business up because I've got this completely different mindset now where everything's on me. It's completely changed.
You go into not necessarily survival mode, but you really, really sort of grow up and you make a decision and it becomes a conscious decision at some point where you go, okay, this is real now. You're dealing with, we're dealing with now, and I've got support around me, but ultimately, as the major shareholder, it is on me. And it's like, 7 million quid's worth of debt every year that's being loaned out to people that, yes, they pay you, but they may not. And there's bad debt, and there's this, and there's, downturn in sales, or, this person's underperforming and that. And there's a lot of pressure that comes with it. And I probably don't give myself, I don't give myself enough credit for living with that, rolling with the punches, and just, I just get on with it. I'm certainly not anything special. But when I sort of talk to people, if I very rarely do go down the pub, if I met a stranger and, what do you do on holiday type thing, and you talk to people, they're like, wow, that's like, they look and they think you're some sort of like entrepreneurial mogul, this, that, and the other. But I'm just a guy that's just trying to provide for my family and trying to build something that's both respected, a nice place to work. We give a great service to our clients. We call it the white glove service, we put our arms around our clients and we really, really look after them. We're a serious business. We are a serious business. We take it very, very seriously. We're in on time. We leave on time. We're on site in the mornings and the night times. And, 40, 50 customers, like I suggested, sort of 15, 20 minutes ago. It's no mean feat to have built that up over 7 years and retain them all and keep them and look after them and nurture them and know their peaks and their troughs and their ups and their downs. And it's not an easy thing. And it sometimes when it's not going particularly brilliantly, you don't give yourself any credit for, well, actually, look what we've built here, because it's not necessarily all me, but look at what we've built here. Do you know what I mean? Because the seriousness of life takes over. Absolutely. Thursday nights out till 2, 3 in the morning, back home. There was instances, again, another quick, very, very quick one. I remember as a young, wet behind the ears, 22, 23-year-old, where the logic is in this. Well, there was no logic because it was based upon alcohol. I used to think to myself, I can grab an extra 5 or 10 minutes in the morning in bed because I'm climbing into bed at 3 and I've got to be up at 7:30. And there was 2 or 3 occasions where I'd go to bed, I'd get dressed into my suit, go to bed, minus the shoes. I didn't put the shoes on, but I'd put my suit on and my suit jacket. What would that save? 3 minutes? For an extra 3 minutes in bed, So I'd lie sort of
it's just such mental behavior,
very
isn't it?
straight in bed on my back for like 3 or 4 hours, not have a particularly great night's sleep, and then I'd almost like get up, inspect the gadget style, brush my teeth, flick my hair around for 20 seconds, wash my face, and I'd be out the door.
Quick one from me, if you're enjoying today's video, two things. First and foremost, like, follow, subscribe, leave a review, all that kind of good stuff. The other thing is, as you probably already know, the way I fund this podcast is through my coaching business. So if you're listening or watching this podcast, you're probably someone that is all about personal development, right? So if you're all about personal development and you want to develop your mindset, you want to develop some real world strategies, or perhaps it's simply just the recruitment aspect. I've been in this industry over 10 years. I've been in the L&D space for over 3 years now, and I'm so passionate about helping people. I feel like this is the purpose that I've been put on this earth for, is to help people in this recruitment industry. So if you're interested in coaching, in training as a recruiter, or perhaps you're a business owner and you want to upskill everyone in the business, take your company to the next level, then why don't you just reach out to me? You can reach out on LinkedIn. All my contact information is on my banner and in my profile, and also on my website. But that's enough from me. Let's get back in today's episode.
Yeah. So crazy times, mate.
Yeah, 100%. Well, something I wanted to ask you about, because I know we're talking a lot about what recruitment was like, what it's going to be like in the next 5 years and stuff. Obviously, a lot of the recruiters now that I deal with, like a lot of companies hire rookies, and they're usually Gen Z, and I know a lot of people give them a hard time, but like, you know, I'm a millennial. When I got into the recruitment industry, everyone was saying millennials are lazy. It was the same shit 10 years ago when I got into it. When I first got into LinkedIn, they're lazy. They're into this social media bullshit, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, look, every generation has like unique strengths and obviously like some weaknesses for some things, right? But like, you know, you obviously hire people. You've been in the industry for over 20 years. So you see differences between recruiters from 20 years ago to nowadays. From your experience, because again, I've got my own opinions on this. What do you think are the major sort of differences between the recruiters of then and the recruiters of now, and maybe even the recruiters of, you know, the next 5-10 years?
Yeah. Well, look, you know, I think I'm actually classed as a millennial. I think millennial, by the way, just to categorize it, is like 1982 to
95, I think, or 96.
95, is it 96?
Yeah.
And then you've got your Gen Zs and blah, blah, blah. So I'm just about a millennial. The one before that was Generation X, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm just not in the Gen X, which is good, actually. But I'm right at the very beginning of being a millennial, let's say.
Yeah.
So people can't help when they're born. People have got to come and make a life and a living and fit into the society, haven't they? And all that sort of stuff. So first and foremost, it's not the fault of my guys. We've probably got an average age out there of like 25, 26. You've got 19-year-old, 45-year-old, and then 2 or 3s in the late 20s, early 30s, and a few more. But they can't help it. So they've got to try, and when they come into any job, but we're obviously specifically talking about recruitment, you've got to find your place. And if you're new into it, a trainee or an apprentice or whatnot, you're going to take feedback from people that have maybe got a year or two's experience, and you're going to genuinely follow the lead. The bosses like myself, you know, we're going to come and put our imprint onto how it was. And my way of working is successful. It's still relevant, I believe, because I just believe in really high levels of communication, good customer service, talking to your clients. There's still a massive opportunity out there for picking the phone up and having conversations. I'm not going to be saying anything different to another 40-year-old business owner, 40, 50-year-old business owner in the perm sector, IT, bloody healthcare, industrial driving. We're all going to be saying the same things. Pick the phone up and have conversations. But in terms of how they can make an imprint and what they're going to, what it looks like for them, yes, okay. There are still people out there and youngsters that are okay. I mean, I've got 2 or 3 out there now in their mid-20s, and they're happy to make 25, 30, 40 calls a day, and they do it and they enjoy it. So you've still got nuggets within age groups that are like, I just like talking to people. Yes, okay, people are becoming a little bit more insular, and you know, there's a lot more scrolling and stuff like that. But I suppose how these people are going to make impacts on the industry in general, they're going to try to make it, and I'm trying to help them and understand it. And it's not easy all the time, but it's trying to make the industry more efficient, isn't it? So it's obviously, look, there's nothing we can do about technology. There's nothing we can do about AI. There's nothing that we can do. It's happening. You have to either embrace it or sort of get out the game. I mean,
Yep.
look, I could operate absolutely on boards and cards, still run a 5, 6, £7 million business, but I would be key and pivotal to that. The youngsters that I'd be bringing in probably would be, why are you still doing it like this? But I'd be like, just leave it to me. We're still going to do it, and it'd still be successful. But as soon as I stepped away from that, they'd be starting to think we can make an improvement here. We can, get Chat GPT. We can get CapCut. We can get bloody, all these different things that are now, and they are designed to make life easier, and they will take over, and they will. They will come more and more and more in, and we have to learn to embrace it. So the young people that I've got in now, there's still a blend of doing that, and there's still a blend of I'm going to sit behind my desk all day and add value via another method,
Yeah, I'm going to sound like a broken record when I say this, because I must have said this on like more than half of the podcasts around how a lot of recruitment businesses don't do enough to incentivize or push the culture of speaking to people on the phone. And I went to an event last night, and I was the only person to ask a question to the panel. My question was, what can we do, or what can I do to help other founders create more of a sales culture? Because I think recruitment isn't just a sales job. It's also marketing, relationship management, customer service. It's a lot of different things, right? But largely it's sales. Largely it is calling up a candidate, qualifying them, selling them a job, calling up a client, qualifying them, selling them a candidate, etc. It is sales. And there's nothing worse, Stuart, from an external trainer's perspective, an external coach. If I were to come into your office and there's 15 consultants and I'm going, right, for the next hour, we're doing sales, we're calling candidates, calling clients, and all I can hear is pins drop and clanking of the keyboards. For me, it's depressing. Like, my favorite moments in recruitment have been where me and my best mate at work would be sat there with our headsets on, making phone calls, looking at the call stats. As soon as we hang up, I've gone up to 3 hours and 50 minutes, and I'm looking at him like, I'm number one, bitch. Then he's on 4 hours and 5 minutes. He's like, now I'm number one, bitch. And I'm just like, fuck, let's make another sales call. And it weren't even making sales calls for the sake of it. It was to improve our business. But that competitiveness, that healthy competition in the office, driving that culture, I've really missed that. And obviously now I literally live and work in this room by myself. So doing BD by myself sometimes is a bit jarring, I'm not going to lie. So I sometimes go into London and I work in some clients' offices, and then I join in with the recruiters with the crack. But yeah, I think all of these technological tools, the AI, there's so many interesting technologies that are coming out. I was speaking to another founder last night about this, that these are great if you're using them to save time to get you on the phone more, or to get you on a video call like this more. If you've got automated emails that go out every other day to your clients specking out profiles, and that allows clients to then go, okay, cool, I'm going to click this button to jump on a Zoom with you or Google Meet, you're winning. But if you're using AI and all these technological new functions, and your sole focus isn't to get that person on the phone, and you think that you've got a client because they've emailed you back saying, yeah, that's great, I don't know, man. I just think people are missing out.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. I mean, look, God, there's so many different things that you've said there that I could cut in on. I'm going to choose to talk about, on the back of that, for me, regardless of who we are, what the next gen's going to be called, whatever, the successful people, in my opinion, now and let's say between the end of my life, hopefully 40, 50 years, whatever, but that successful people in that top window of time will have to have a personality. I'm not so when I say successful people, I know that people can make money by uploading videos on TikTok and make 100 grand a year, 200, 300, a million quid a year, all these different facets and different things that are going on at the moment in the world, and loads of massive major topics that are coming out at the moment on the back of different things that are going on. But successful people in terms of our space, recruiters, business leaders, you've got to think at the moment, I might have a future recruitment leader within my team. When I move off and sail off into the sunset and do what I'm going to do in my future life, the people that are in their 20s and 30s today are going to be recruitment leaders in 20 years' time, because
Mm.
us lot will be borderline retired, doing what we want to do. You know, some of the 50, 60-year-old business owners and whatnot, they're obviously going to come to retirement at some point. So
Mm-hmm.
the ones that are going to progress into those roles, they're going to be salesy based people. They're going to be people that go and make shit happen. They're going to be
Mm-hmm.
people that are on the front foot. They're going to be forward thinking people. They're going to be people that build relationships with their clients. It's not going to change. That's not going to change, in my
Mm.
opinion, because you're not going to have a CEO that sits there just typing. Especially in our space, you need to be in
Mm.
front of your clients. You need to be making stuff happen. You need to be having a. Yes, you can have teams and you can have sales directors below, but
Yeah.
you know, you only have to look at the I can't remember what it is now. Is it the something index? The 500 biggest companies in the world.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called, but I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, 80% of those companies' CEOs are
Mm.
salesmen.
Really?
80% of those companies' CEOs, is it the GC index? I can't remember.
Mm.
80% of those companies' CEOs are salespeople,
Wow.
because salespeople make good leaders because they inspire and they forward think and they're quite creative and
Mm.
they can get out of tight situations reasonably
Mm-hmm.
quickly. They're agile. You know, and I'm not saying that you can't be a CEO if you're not those things.
Mm.
They're very strategical. You know, they're forward thinking, they're planners. And, you know, essentially, as a CEO or an MD of any business of any sort of
Mm.
size and that employs, you know, half a dozen people or more, all my thoughts are based around paying bills, sending out invoices, and what's the most efficient way for us to do that?
Mm.
How can I do
Mm.
that with the people that I've got? How can I maximize the people I've got? How can I create more vacancies? How can we build out and get bigger? You know,
Mm.
so the future people of what Gen Zs and the next generation and the one after that, they're still going to have you're still going to have those fundamental skills. You're still going to
Mm.
have real senior leaders are still going to have character. They're still going
Yeah.
to have to have, they're still going to want to make stuff happen and get on the
Mm.
front foot. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I mean, that
That's
popped
not
up
going
in
to change.
conversation last night where someone was talking about a new technology that's going to come out that's going to scrape all the job boards, LinkedIn. You're going to put in a job description, and what it will do is it's going to scrape everything that you have, your CRM, all the job boards, LinkedIn, and it will resource for you until you tell it to stop. So rather than having a delivery team to find candidates on Indeed, Read, CV Library, all these things, it will just work 24/7 in the background and just get you a bunch of candidates, add them to the system, code them. So it will kind of like be the death of the delivery consultant in that respect. But my question was, well, if I set up a recruitment business tomorrow and I was fortunate enough to be the test pilot for that bit of tech, I'd still need to call those candidates, right? And I don't know, maybe it's because I'm quite old fashioned, but when I met my first time I ever properly worked with the recruiter, when she got me to, she was fantastic actually. She actually got me to work in London when I specifically said on my first call with her, I don't want to work in central London. I don't want to have to pay £500 a month on the train. Lo and behold, she got me a job in London. I was like, fair enough. She was very good, but she went out of her way to meet me. Granted, she met me on a video call because she lived miles away. The next recruiter, when I got into L&D, he was like, come to my office. I want to meet you, blah, blah, blah. And I was, it like, if I were to work with a recruiter now, I don't think I could work with a recruiter unless I actually met them. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I think it's such an
Yeah,
important
100%.
thing. And the thing I
How do
said
you
to the
build
guys yesterday,
relationships?
yeah, I was,
You
I was
build
going to say that the
by
final thing
talking to
was
people.
that regardless of how AI gets, unless we get to iRobot level where we've got like those Tesla bots with personalities like you and I, which is fucking terrifying. There's also a movie called Terminator, which has warned us about this type of thing.
Mm.
Until we get there, I think some recruiters get scared about AI and all the rest of it. Like you said, you got to ride the wave and use it to get you on the phone more. Imagine if you and I were just running a recruitment business where AI did everything and all we did was just speak to people on the phone. And then all the admin's done by AI, all the finding candidates, invoicing, all this type of stuff was done by AI. And all we need to do is just sit there and just speak to people.
Mm. Yeah, that's great, isn't it? That's great. But how do you get the difference between people are, and again, this isn't going to change. Tech's going to help, but people are going to be what um, build recruitment businesses. People, and that's not going
Yeah.
to change because if I'm if I work for one company and you work for another, okay, and you're a better uh, you're better at building relationships. If I just, we might have the same job, or I might have a better job to offer a candidate than you. You're going to be able to talk the candidate into doing your job better than I am because you've got a different pattern, you've got a different way. You can influence a candidate so much by the recruiter themselves can influence a candidate by listening. And I was talking about this yesterday. I haven't done a lot of sales recently, actually. I've sort of felt like I lost my touch, but I was on a Teams call with a client yesterday about some changes that we're making and stuff. And they've been working with us now for 6 months, but I've never met them or spoken to them before. And they've been spending a good amount of money with us, actually. I've just steered clear, which is like a bit of a dream for me. But I felt like I needed to nip in yesterday and get involved. And it brought back so many memories. We used to get told to, we used to take a notepad, obviously, and I still do to some meetings, a little hook box in the corner, on the bottom right-hand corner or left-hand corner, a hook box. If the client says something in a meeting, you just make a little note of it. I'm going to come back to that in 5 or 10 minutes, and you'll reference it. You'll go, Charles, sort of 6 or 7 minutes ago, you mentioned you're having some problems with your agency, with their timesheets, how they're corresponding them. We offer live timesheets. We offer, and and that's not going to change. So a recruiter, whether you're selling directly to clients or candidates, they can influence so much, and they can make or break a sale. AI is going to help facilitate that, but it's not going to do the final pieces. It's not going to say to you, how's Claire, your wife? How's Lucy and Daisy, the kids? You mentioned last week that the dog was sick. How's the dog now? Is it on medication? AI is not going to do any of that. And you're still going to emotionally make a connection with your candidates. And they're going to still think he really cares.
Yeah.
He knows he's got a reference point. He's referencing 2 years ago when we had this conversation, and that AI is not going to be able to plug every single gap. Human beings are still going to be at the forefront of recruitment.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, to be honest with you. I think that human touch, a lot of people talk about this human touch. Don't get me wrong, look, there are some people out there that don't really care. And I think there are some people out there that if an AI agent called them to pitch them a job, some people wouldn't really give two tosses. But I think the vast majority of people want to be able to put a human face to it, want to be able to have that type of conversation. Mate, looking back at the conversations I used to have with candidates, it makes me laugh. When I became the L&D manager in my last job, I was kind of missing my old colleagues because it was like a family in my last job, and I used to walk through Farringdon just to see if I would bump into them because I missed them so much. And one day I was walking past the bar where our office used to be above, and I got a text message of like, "Oh, if you're walking through Farringdon, come meet us for a beer." And there's obviously a few new hires after about 6 months after I left, and they didn't know who I was, so they're shaking my hand. I'm Charles, and I'm like, Charles Kiriakou. I was like, yeah. And they're like, I swear I see your notes on the system. I'm like, you probably do. And I'm like, no. I've never seen such detailed notes on the system, because I made myself like a little template with so all I did was I'd click on the template on Bullhorn, and then whilst I was talking to the candidate, I'd fill it in. But I made an effort at the bottom of the note to on the template was like personal. So it would be like, how many kids have they got? Do they have pets? What are their hobbies? Where have they lived? How have they lived there? Interests, all these types of things. And it was just like, oh, there was a girl that used to work in dental, and you placed her, or she worked somewhere else, you placed her in dental. I looked at the notes the other day, and it was like, her daughter's like a one stripe white belt in jiu-jitsu. Her son's doing karate, and he's only been doing it for 3 years. It's like, she's got a goldfish called something. And I was like, yeah, because that for me, like, people don't realize this because people are so short-minded with this type of stuff, that you look at those notes in the system of this guy that used to work in the business and you might think that's kind of mental. But in my mind and how it works, and literally this type of stuff always would happen, is I would keep in touch with those candidates after I place them, all the rest of it. And then if they get made redundant, or the business is acquired, or the business goes into administration, or they quit, or whatever, who do you think that person's going to go to? Do you really think they're going to go and put their CV up on the job boards and then just go and speak to loads of agencies? Or they're going to call their mate that just so happened to get them a job? They're going to speak to the person they got that relationship with. And people really forget that. That's like, I was speaking to someone last night, and his whole business mission is relationships first. I think that's missing in this industry, personally.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's what we push. And I try to push some of my relationships with my clients downhill. And I've got a real good balance with my team out there at the moment, because I've got a list to my left here of 25 clients, the names and job titles and stuff, and it just keeps them in my mind's eye. And I just flick, and I'll give these 3 a call this week. I'll give these. I haven't got enough time to speak to them all every week, but I'll just dive into a few of them. But the team are looking after them in the main, and they're going and doing the inductions, the walkarounds, the scooping up of vacancies. They're going and doing the donkey work, and I'll just check in randomly and just go, how's the wife and kids? Do you fancy going for a curry next week, having a bit of a catch up?
Yeah.
And I'll try and do that whole CEO piece, absolutely. But fundamentally, it is built on relationships, and our business is built on relationships. And I don't mind saying that we're absolutely not the cheapest agency out there, and our competitors know that. And we do have hard conversations with our clients sometimes, because the ones that we've got really strong relationships with, they know that we charge a little bit more, and they know they get the white glove service from us. And our competitors must be scratching their heads and going, how can I'm trying to knock a pound, and he's got, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 temps in there. I'm giving this client £1.50 an hour cheaper. It's 700 quid a week or something daft like that, but they're not interested. And why are they not interested? Because I'm not saying their relationship with me or one of the team is everything, but they get the service fundamentally. They get the service, and it's consistent and long-term and ongoing, and it's there. But I've sort of wrapped a real personal and business-related service around them, where it's consultative, and they can dive into me for advice, and they've got a red hotline into me if this, that, and the other. And I think a lot of companies are, I would say a decent business, you've got to have 5 to 10 of those relationships where you can do those things, because they're your core, they're your absolute core. And if you've got that as a foundation, if you can put a few more on top with the relationships that they go and own, you're going to build a good business. But absolutely, relationships first. I like that. That's a good motto of your friend.
Yeah, no, it's really good. And I've seen some people in the sales industry say that, they get the ick when they hear the word relationships. And I think if you're selling things where it is quite transactional, like if I was just coming into your business and I was selling, I don't know, something that you would only buy once, then you can understand why those people would be like, what's the point in building a relationship? Because it's transactional. But I think in recruitment, the best recruitment agencies I've seen, worked in and worked with and currently work with aren't transactional, because the transactional recruitment agencies are like what you said with some of your competitors, where they'll just try and undercut on price. They'll deliver a bit of a shit service. They're only in it for the money type thing. And look, most recruitment businesses, obviously, they're in it to make profit, right? But at the same time, how do you build a successful business? Well, you build the relationships with people. You have the best intentions in mind for your customers, for your candidates, for your clients. You build relationships with those people. And then, like my old boss would always say, the longer you stay in one particular market, your candidates become your clients of tomorrow. And that's all based on relationships. Those candidates won't become your clients if you don't have good rapport, good relationships. And obviously, you can have a great relationship. You could know everything about their family and all the rest of it. But if you delivered a shit service, they're obviously not going to come back to you, right?
Course, but yeah. No, it's absolutely true. You've just reminded me there, there about sort of just very quickly. So the transition between Best Connection and here now, I said about a 4-year gap, didn't I? So that 4-year gap, there was probably another year or two at Best Connection. I went and worked for a really, really small independent business for about 2 years. When I say really small, I'm talking about, I think when I joined, there was two owners and maybe two other people. There were about £1 million in turnover at the time. Now, in the 2 years that I helped, via my direct sales, I helped them get to £3 million. So I'd contributed £2 million worth of turnover within the first year, 18 months. And now, obviously, 4 years later, those customers are with me, and they were the foundation of our business. But you know, I learned, that's where I learned the business. That's where I learned how to send out invoices and how invoice financing worked. I learned a lot there, and there was loads. I really, really did learn a lot there, and I can't thank the owners enough for that. They were ruthless, and they were only in it for the money, and they were really honest about that, and I admired their honesty. You know, the MD was. He was like, I don't care. I don't care about the staff. I don't care about the clients. I don't care about the temporary workers. There wasn't anything less necessarily immoral. He followed process and did the right things, but he wasn't interested in what Dave's wife's name was or how many kids he got. He was like, can you come in and deliver this? And I will give you this. And it was so black and white. And whilst I didn't like that because I'm a relationship kind of guy, I mean, I'm getting more black and white as I'm getting older, to be fair. And it's like, you know, because of time now, I'm a little bit more restricted on it's either this or this. And going into the grey now in your mid-40s is so time-consuming and energy-consuming. I try and get other people to deal with the grey and me sort of be a little bit more black and white whilst still being engaging and empathetic, by the way. But this guy was just like bang, 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 bang. And you know what? The burn-through of clients... The burn through of internal workers whilst I was there. I was the sales director and I was delivering and he really looked after me. I was earning, crikey, a fortune. And he really looked after me, but only because I was delivering, and he really, really looked after me. But the burn through of clients, candidates, temporary workers, the whole business was just like it just never stood still for a second because there was no, where I bought the business, the clients I bought in, they stuck around because they were buying into me.
And you look after them as well.
The model of the business was just horrendous. There was a branch in the West Midlands, and I'd opened one in Leicester. And I just had a consistent 50, 60, 70 temps out a day, and I was just delivering every week. And it was easy. It was easy. Whereas they had the same amount of workers out, but they were converting like 4 new clients a week, but they were losing 4. You know, and they were stacking. He's gone this week, and this person's joined. They were just. Whereas I was doing it on my own with one other person, and we had the easiest life in the world. You know, we had it on toast because we took the time at the start to build relationships, do things right.
I always think that there are people out there like that where they are just like, you know, in recruitment or whatever, they don't care about your family, they don't care, they just want to just do their own thing. My old boss was like that, and off air I can tell you more because I signed an NDA, so I can't tell too much. But yeah, he was very much like that. And I remember maybe 3 months after I started my last job, he was just like, you're the guy that got you the job's trying to meet me for coffee. And I was like, oh yeah, I've met him, he's lovely. And he went, why the fuck would I meet him? And I was like, well, he's placed me when I grow my team. He's, you know, he was like, but he's already done, like, we could just do it over the phone. I've got so much to do. Why am I going to waste my time going meet this person face to face? That should have been like one of the first red flags, because for me, I'm a very values led person, and like I believe in working with people that, you know, I'm aligned to. Obviously, you're sometimes going to have to work with candidates and clients that you're not entirely aligned to because you've got to get to target. But, you know, I wouldn't work with someone that's a complete and utter, you know, see you next Tuesday type thing. But that kind of reminded me a little bit of that. And I never really heard him jump on calls with people to, like, my old boss, Tim, would jump on calls to cement the relationship, to, you know, make sure the client feels looked after, his child's looking after you, is there anything else we as a business can be doing, blah blah, when are you next down in London, we'll take you for lunch, blah blah blah. That, as an MD, that was his job. He wasn't going out and finding candidates and BDing a hot list. He was just jumping on the call with some of the recruiters, myself included, to just massage the client and being like, as the MD.
That's exactly my style. And I think that's what a decent, I would like to think a decent MD CEO is, in my mind. 100%. It's seeing where there's an opportunity, or actually I'm just going to put my arms around them, or I'm going to give them a call this week. Just something, intuition just says I'm going to call them.
Yeah.
And in general, you'll gain something out of that call. Not maybe
100%.
immediately, but you'll gain some knowledge or maybe an opportunity, which is ultimately
100%.
what you want. But yeah, it's not necessarily all. It's definitely not for me about right. Okay, yeah, we're a commercial enterprise. Businesses are commercial enterprises. The fundamentals is you need cash flow behind the business to be able to pay
Yeah.
bills, grow the business, and do what you want, pay dividends, invest. Whatever a CEO wants to do with that. But essentially, for me, it's been a bit of an all-round thing where you can
Yeah.
create a nice lifestyle, but also have a real serious element to, you mentioned values. We just released our business values about 4 weeks ago. Passion, integrity, accountability, partnership, and respect. Those 5 ones, 5
Nice.
pillars of our business, our 5 different directors. Each one, we own each one of them. Mine is passion, and we can talk passionately about that particular value. But all the other values of the other directors are also really important to me and the wider business, and we try and embed them in the team. So yeah, it's just trying to make improvements where you go, and people are in it for what they want to be in it for, Charles. And if somebody is cold-blooded and look, listen, I want to make £1 million in the next 12 months out of recruitment, and I don't care how I do it, who are we to stop? We can't control that. We can't do anything about that. That's people are entitled to do what they want, aren't they?
As long as they're honest about it, do you know what I mean? As long as you're open and honest about how you want to do things and what your end goal is, that's absolutely fine. What I don't like is when you've got someone that's like, we're values led, relationship orientated, but then they are a horrible see you next Tuesday on the phone and all the rest of it. It's just like you're just not being congruent. As long as you're being congruent, like one of the guys on the panel at the live event I went to in London last night, really, really young guy, CEO of a recruitment business, wants to open multiple branches. And when I asked about the sales culture thing, he was like, I just don't believe in remote working in terms of having a sales culture. I believe in making 300 cold calls a day. I was like, mate, if you're hiring people and being open from the get-go and saying, like, look, if you join my business, this is what you can expect, and people join your business, if they then complain, I'm sorry, you've been told what's expected of you. If you don't like it, then you've kind of got to go. You know what I mean? But anyway, look, I'm conscious of time, Stuart, because I know that obviously you've got to go. And as you know, I finish every episode off with the same question. So following today's episode, how can people get 1% better in recruitment?
I think we mentioned before, didn't we, online? 1% is not a massive improvement to make. So I did say, and this isn't my answer, by the way, if you're just on time every day and leave that's going to make you 1% better. But a little bit more of a firmed up answer for you would be organisation. So one of my key things over the last sort of 7-8 years, and I try and embed into my team, is if you've got an 8-hour day and you come in with sort of 2 or 3 primary tasks, and what I mean, I don't mean I've got to respond to that email. 2 or 3 primary tasks to move your desk candidates process forward during that day or week. So I'll give you an example. Let's say on our drive-in desk, it might be, I'm going to place 4 adverts. I'm going to I'm going to do my availability for my drivers, and I'm going to make 5 sales calls, right? If you're filling up your day with those 3 primary tasks, they might be 3 separate tasks the next day. But I always say, if you fill your day with 60, 70% with strategy, you still got plenty of room in your day, 30, 40% of your day to be reactive to things. I'm going to go make a coffee. Does anybody want one? Oh, I've got to respond to that email. I've got an interview to do. I've got to nip out on a visit would be part of that strategy, I suppose. But it's basically filling 60 to 70% of your day with strategy-based things that you come in and on Monday, I know I'm going to be doing these 2 or 3 things, and try not to pad out your day with there's these 6 or 8 things, because you're going to leave disappointed. Yeah, I create lists, and I like to give it a big tick at the end of the day and go, I've done a good job today. You're one of those things. I'm going to see the chiropractor in a minute. That's actually bizarrely going to be another thing. And some of mine dovetails into my personal life as well, but I still do it now.
Yeah.
I use a manual diary. I'm a bit boring. And it's just basically keep it really simple. If you fill 60% of your day with strategy, you're leaving yourself 40% to be reactive and thinking. And if you do that, even if you're not doing the jobs to an amazingly high standard, you just find yourself with so much time, because both you know and I know in this industry, I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to put that advert out. I'm just going to ring that candidate. I'm just going to respond to that email. Oh, I'm really hungry. I'm going to go and get a sandwich from the butty van. Oh, bloody hell, that call's coming. And you can get caught up in that. You can fill 40 hours a week doing that, no problems whatsoever.
Yeah.
But if you just take the time to go, the office isn't on fire. It's going to take 5 minutes to plan my day. And you know, when people do, sorry, I hope you don't feel like I'm waffling, but just to finish, you know, you've probably sat down with colleagues, subordinates, maybe even bosses in the past, where it's like, right, what are you up to today? Oh, I've got so much on. Okay, and then you'll go, right, talk to me then. And I'm not trying to belittle you here or in any way, shape or form disrespect you, but let's just create a list, 5 minutes. What have you got to do? And it'll end up being 4 or 5 different things that you just, and okay, you can't go, right, that email is going to take 6.5 minutes, but you'll over egg it, even double the amount of time. And you work out that the person's still got 6 hours worth of their day free. So I suppose the very short answer to summarize your question is organization is absolutely critical. Skills and talent will filter into that, obviously. But if you just organize to start with, you're on the right track.
Mate, what a phenomenal answer. I've not really had one as comprehensive as that. In fairness, I've had some about planning and stuff like that, but that's really, really good advice for, I think, everyone for all levels. So that's really, really good. Mate, look, I'll let you go. Thank you very much for your time today, Stuart. Really, really enjoyed having you on. For anyone that's made it this far, like, subscribe, all that type of good stuff. Follow Stuart on and Be Recruitment on LinkedIn. And until next time.
Charles, you've been great. Really appreciate your time, and I'll catch up with you soon.
Nice one. Thanks so much for watching today's episode. If you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, follow, drop a comment on either platform and message me on LinkedIn what your biggest takeaway of today's episode is. If you also feel like somebody else could take some value from this, repost it, share it, tag someone in. If you think you or someone else could be a fantastic guest as well, put them in touch with me or get in touch with me yourself. We're always looking for new guests. And we only really have legends on this, as you can probably tell already. So as I mentioned, like, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. It genuinely helps so much. And I've got massive, massive plans for this podcast, and we're loving doing it every step of the way. Keep getting 1% better, everybody. Let me know what your biggest takeaway from today's episode is, and I'll see you next week.